Hello, everyone. My name is Ivana. I am the director of Género, and I am AymurAI's project manager. I will tell you a little bit about AymurAI today. But first, I'm going to tell you about Género. We are a civic organization based in Argentina. We wanted to do data feminism and gender data, but we encountered a bigger issue that is missing data and erased people from data in Latin America. We have a lot of underrepresentation in our data systems, and we have a lot of gaps in time and also in different measurements regarding data. So we are going to tackle one small part of that issue because it's a huge issue. But I want to tell you a little bit about this presentation. This is a trigger warning because I'm going to be speaking about gender-based violence, feminicides, and transfeminicides. So if you are sensitive to these issues, you can skip this presentation and come back later. So when we talk about missing data, this is a worldwide issue. The Sustainable Development Goal number 5, that is gender equality, half of the countries in the world don't have data available to monitor this SDG. So we can't measure, we can't know how it's being tackled and if it got better in time or not. So when we reach 2030, we are not going to be able to see that progress because half of the data is not available. And the data that we have is, most of it is over a decade old. So it's really not up to date. So we really need to tackle the issue around missing gender data. This is part of a big problem because core gender data systems are underfunded by a lot of money per year. And this means that we have just the half of the necessary funding to support policy decision-making and accelerate gender equality. So this is a huge issue, and it's not being addressed with the seriousness that it needs to. So we have a lot of missing data. We have missing data about women's and LGBTQ people's health or economic situation or access to education, to water. We have a lot of gaps, but we also have a huge gap on gender-based violence. We have a lot of great organizations in Latin America that are counting the feminicides and transfeminicides using the news and seeing and the family's claims for women and LGBTQ people being murdered or killed by cis men. But we don't have the whole picture. We have the feminicides. We have some information that is scattered around how gender-based violence works. But we don't have, if we have a puzzle, we only have the edges and we don't have what's going on inside, or we don't have the whole picture because we don't usually know what happens inside the homes or in a workplace or in the schools regarding gender-based violence, because most of the people don't go to the police. They don't make a claim because they don't trust the system. Regarding gender-based violence, we can't also understand the judicial process and how they evolve, since the few legal rulings that are available, they are because they became mainstream because the case was picked up by the media, but it's not because we have all the legal rulings. So this mistrust in the judiciary was measured in 2020, and it's 25%, the level of trust in the judiciary, so it's really low. And one of the main reasons is because it's like a black box and we don't know what is happening. When a woman or a person in the LGBTQ plus community goes to make a claim because they were suffering gender-based violence, there is a huge process. They make you tell everything a lot of times, and sometimes the judges are not very helpful for the situation and they de-estimate the claim. So we want to know what the judges are deciding on our lives and on cases of gender-based violence. And one of the most important sources of data in governments are the administrative documents. So we have a lot of documents in the government I don't know how to tell you the amount of space that is occupied in the computers by Word documents that are not being used. They are just there, kind of gathering dust around them, because it's really expensive and it's really time-consuming to extract that information manually, and people in the government are not equipped with all the tools necessary to do that. So that's where we come in. Our project is called Feminisms in Artificial Intelligence towards judiciary reform in Latin America. And this project is kind of walking on thin ice. I always try to make some memes in the presentations to make it easier, but we are trying to avoid a lot of problematic uses of AI and the biases. Trying. We are not saying that we achieved everything. That's why we have everything open source, so everyone can see it and can make comments and help us make it better. But we are trying to build an AI that can help us to extract information from documents in governments to have more data sets on gender-based violence. So we are working with the criminal court number 10. This criminal court has a judge that is called Pablo Casas, and also Yasmin Quiroga. She is part of the criminal court and Género, and she was the link between these two organizations, and she was the one that made this all possible. So we are really glad to have her on board in this project. And criminal court number 10 was already opening gender-based violence data, but they were doing it manually. So we use their database and their resolutions to train our tool to create more data sets. We created this paper last year. You can read here. We also have a translation to Spanish and in English. And this is our website where you can find all the information about our project. This is our software. I will make a short demo, if it's okay with you. I will open AymurAI exe. This is the executable file. And we have running Docker on the background, but everything is in the technical report that you can read. So we have two ways of logging. We have local and we have via Google, because the criminal court number 10 uses Google and Google spreadsheets to open their data. But for the sake of this presentation, I will do it locally. This is safer because all the information remains in the computer, but Google is also perfectly safe because there is no sensitive information going through Google, only the anonymized information and the datasets, but you don't need to log in for the local, and that's for some criminal courts is better because some criminal courts don't use Google, they use Yahoo or Hotmail, or they don't use that much of an email. And you can do this without a connection to internet. That is really important in some criminal courts in our country, that they don't have the best access to internet, and they have like on and off access to internet. So local is a great possibility for them. So we have a series of steps. We have to select the files, then the AI will read them, then we have a validation form, and then we will upload that to the database. I will put some documents inside. This is a resolution with fake synthetic data that we created for this particular demonstration. So there is no personal data in this document, don't worry. So I will process this document. We can see the progress here. I just tried that, so I'm hoping this works because every time I show it, something happens, but it's going to be okay. So it's processing the document, it's recognizing all the entities that the AI is extracting. And now we will see a validation form where we can check all the information. We don't want to remove the person from this particular step. We want the person to be validating every prediction that the AI made. So the predictions are based on recognizing entities in the document, We are not trying to predict if someone is going to be violent or commit a crime. That's not our goal. So I wanted to make that clear. So we have a lot of information here that was highlighted that was recognized by the AI. I remind you that this information is fake, so no one, this is Belén Quiroga, it's Jasmine's name, so it's fake information. This is some information that the criminal court needs to put in manually because they have to make this input from their records. It's not here in this document. But then we have some information that is being extracted, for example, the number of the file. I will press it and put correct data. Then we have if it was contraventional or if it was penal. So we will put it like here. And then we have the article that was inflicted, the law, the behavior of the person. This was a threat case, for example, and coactive threats. We have the National Penal Code, and we have the article that was inflicted, if it was genderless violence, and what kinds of violence were inflicted in this particular scenario. And we have domestic violence and everything that was found in this document. A lot of information is not going to be found because not every case has all the information. This is something that is going to happen. And if this remains blank, it will say that it wasn't found and that's it. So we have a lot of different categories, and this is going to make the process of extracting the data from the document really fast and really effective for the criminal court officials. So once I validated everything that happened here, I will put a validate document, and now we can see the data set in our spreadsheet that is going to be saved locally. So we have everything here. I didn't put all the information for the sake of this presentation, but it's going to structure everything. And afterwards, the criminal court can upload this to a database or to the internet so everyone can access it. But it's going to make it really, really easy to have all the missing data regarding gender-based violence in criminal courts. So that is our software. I can log out of the software and start over if I want to, and I can close it and open it again. So the criminal court also uploads all the resolutions without any sensitive information to Twitter and to Google Drive, but that's something that not all the criminal courts are going to do. We just want them to have the structured data. This is the data set with all the information, so we can analyze it and make these profiles regarding gender-based violence, how it operates, to get more knowledge to see if we are moving forward or if we're moving backwards with this pressing issue. So you can find all our open source app in GitHub. We have repositories that are open, and we have the installation manual here, so everyone can access it. We also have our model on Hugging Face, so we can collaborate with the community that is opening their models and helping us build better models and safer models in Spanish. And we have some criminal courts that want to use AymurAI. Luckily, we have 3 courts in Buenos Aires that are going to implement this, and we want to spread the word. So if you know judges in Latin America that are willing to join us in this open gender data journey, let's connect. You have all my information here, and also Género's information here. So we are really hoping to hear from you and to have feedback for our development and to move forward towards gender equality. Thank you so much.